Demolition and protest in Kanifing East layout as new roads is being constructed. India to become most populous country in 2023 as the world clocks 8 billion people. And despite lesser cases of COVID-19 in the Gambia, authorities still encourages people to get vaccinated. This and more coming on the wall today. Hello, and this is the World Today News Bulletin with me, Yahya Jammeh. Thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. Residents of the Kanifing East layout on Tuesday clashes with security forces as demonstrators went to work and looking down their perimeter fences. Now 14 compounds were earmarked for the demolition exercise as part of plans to construct a road leading from the Serekunda General Hospital to the Battle-Hardened Highway. And as Mark Fujisisa reports, the issue of compensation is at the heart of the protest. Now details of that in this report.
The bone of contention here is not that residents don't want a road constructed in their area. In fact, they welcome it, but the problem is that government will not compensate them for the damages suffered as a result of the demolition of their fences. A letter from the Department of Physical Planning and Housing to residents dated the 1st of November warned of the possibility of such an exercise if the compound owners did not carry out the demolition themselves. The planning authorities in their letter deemed the said fences to have been erected without a development permit or without the prior approval of the Banjul Planning Authority under Development Control Regulations 1995. However, prior to the demolition exercise on Tuesday, several consultative meetings were said to have taken place between the community representatives of the OIC and officials of the Department of Physical Planning and Housing on the number of meters compound owners were to forfeit to government on either side of the road, dividing these residents of the Kanifing layout and Kanifing estate. According to residents of the Kanifing layout, it was agreed that 1.5 meters will be surrendered either side of the road, an agreement the layout residents are now accusing the Office of the Physical Planning and Housing of reneging on in favor of their neighbors on the other side of the road. Yahya Jammeh is a victim, and he says the letter of notice sent by the Department of Physical Planning and Housing bore no stamps or signature indicating who wrote it.
We are not anti-development. This is our Gambia. We like the Gambia to develop. The roads should be made. Once you have roads, that increases the revenue. It's good for the society. So, what we are saying is, but it should be done properly. That is it. You have to have environmental impact study first. We know the ground more than them. There is an alternative. An alternative is that road from Dr. Mbo's hospital down. That could be used. It's big. So for them to just concentrate on this, we said no. The road is wide enough. They could have made 2 lanes and use both sides of it. But they insisted on demolishing this few compounds. So people came out.
Madam Mboj Kamara told Eyeafrica TV that they had several meetings with the authorities for them to offer compensation, but that those meetings came to naught and their properties. Madam Kamara questioned the fairness of the whole demolition process, which is only affecting one side and not the other.
Parce que demolition suy am si area bu nekk da ngay wara demolish both sides.
Another resident, Ami Kole Sinyan Jammeh, wants to know why there will be no compensation when millions of dollars are involved in the whole OIC road construction.
Majikar ser leta bi gis ko mu ne kana bina leta bi li pour lan duma ko sign parce que li correct.
This question will undoubtedly linger in the minds of many Gambians tonight as they ponder over the issue of compensation as it relates to to roads being constructed as part of the OIC project, canopying layout may just be the beginning of something bigger to come. Mafui Sise, Eyeafrica News.
The world population has reached 8 billion inhabitants this week. According to the United Nations Population Fund, India is said to have contributed the most to the 8 billion with 177 million, followed by China with 73 million. China's birth rate projection for the next billion will be negative, meaning India stands the chance of overcoming China as the world's most populous nation by 2023. The population increase can turn out to be an opportunity for India to become a resource creator for the world. Details of that in this report.
Nikita is struggling to find a job for more than 6 months. She has a master's degree and the certificates of eligibility to teach. Yet, she is still unemployed, teaching jobs in India. Millions of Indians like Nikita are a part of the youth bulge. More than 70% of the population in India is below the age of 35. To reap this unique opportunity, the policymakers will have to think out of the box.
Well, I would say this large young demographic already exists. Whether it's going to be a dividend or a disaster is something that will be determined by the investments that are made by the state in their health, their well-being, opportunities for them.
The UN projects that India's population will rise from the present 1.4 billion people to surpass next year. It will grow to about 1.7 billion by 2050. India is just beyond the midpoint of its demographic dividend. The government needs to increase the GDP and reduce poverty to make the best of this opportunity. Experts say that the main challenge will be to create jobs for so many.
And the last 8 years is considerably on the point of realization of benefits in terms of new employment creation, upward income mobility of the young, working class. We've lost the ship there. It's just, as I said, it's a point of inflection now. Whatever we choose to do in terms of policy-making decisions will have serious ramifications, not just for the young, but also for the old.
To capitalize on the youth potential, India will have to make a major policy shift from capital-intensive manufacturing to labor-intensive manufacturing.
Nigeria's blockchain technology is believed to have the process to transform and enhance Nigeria's digital economy and sold about $29 billion to Nigeria's gross domestic product by 2030. Nigeria's ambassador Impact Market noted that blockchain technology offers an optimistic outlook on the potential of blockchain adaptation in Nigeria. Now, driving financial industry in Nigeria has been highlighted by the central banks of Nigeria as key objectives. Now, financial inclusion in Nigeria stands at 64%, falling out of the national financial inclusion strategy of 80%. Details of that in this report.
Young Nigerians are at the heart of the boom in the blockchain industry in Nigeria. The West African state is already a frontrunner in the adoption of the technology on the continent, and the number is growing consistently. Experts say the driving force is mainly cryptocurrency or crypto-related transactions.
Cross-border payment has been one of the key areas that have used blockchain, which is sending money from one African country to the other, which makes it a lot easier. I mean, it was really fast. But right now, those options are not available. So it's a lot harder now to do than it was back then before the CBN ban.
The Central Bank of Nigeria restricted the use of cryptocurrencies in the country early last year. It later introduced its own digital currency, the e-Naira. But not even the Apex Bank's restrictions on its own digital currency has stopped the increased adoption of cryptocurrency in Africa's biggest economy.
The nature of the technology itself is one of the reasons why we have young people across boards patronizing and exploring this technology. Many people are saying, oh, since we have got shortage of dollar, wouldn't it be better that we leverage blockchain technology, seeing that cryptocurrencies are now better alternatives to dollar? Another reason why in recent times we have had a massive surge for users in blockchain technology space is also our import-export partnerships and expectations. Majority of countries that Nigeria trades with in terms of foreign trade are blockchain users.
As the adoption rate of the blockchain technology grows, its application is becoming more diverse. This group of young Nigerians are now leveraging the technology to create an NFT gaming and comic project with 6,000 unique African art pieces.
In the coming years, blockchain technology will be central. It will largely redefine operations across various strata of human engagement. I think that blockchain technology in Nigeria has got a great future. In fact, I would not be surprised if in the next 5 years, we have 70 to 90% of Nigerians using blockchain technology, because that's already exactly the same percentage of young people in Nigeria.
Despite the increasing adoption rate of the blockchain technology in Nigeria, many tech experts say the country is just merely scratching the surface of the technology that has enormous potential for growth.
Nigeria's blockchain technology believed to have the potential to transform and enhance Nigeria's digital economy. Will take us to a quick break, and we'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
The development of our Dalaba estate commenced in November 2018. Today, Dalaba comprises of over 350 affordable and quality homes with fenced and gated service plots. The estate boasts features such as surfaced dressed roads with interlocking bricks, solar street lights, and beautiful landscaping to be further complemented with 1,500 fruit trees. With accessibility to water and electricity, fenced service plot owners continue to develop their properties. Within a period of 24 months, TAF Africa Global has transformed a 20-hectare undeveloped plot into a fully functional residential estate, housing families comfortably. TAF Africa Global. Our experience is global, our focus is Africa. For information on any of our current and future developments, please call +220 776 2333 or 376 2333.
ngu nyawu noon ko nyawu bongu wotko ɗum yakkata he nder ɓandu ma wiya ɗo noon he nder leydi Gambia ngu nanga sukaɓe ɓe ɓuri ɗum andirde acute kidney injury AKI. ngu nyawu noon ngu lorlat te ngu ƴettiɗo pittali sukaɓe hewɓe he nder leydi he. sifaji mantinoje ɗe ɗe jiyata ha ganda ko ngu nyawu gonduɗa woni reedu dogoru, tudre, saɗa jicco taw ko seeɗa yaltata walla taw haydara arata, kine jaltinoje ñilɓe, ɗojjo ha he ɓandu wulandu. ko sababi ko ngu nyawu heɓe sukaɓe noon suwa ande, kono noon ɓe jiiti hen piiji ɗi ganduɗa ɗi moƴƴani ɗi badda noon heɗe lekkele ndiyam woni medicinal syrups e goɗɗi nyawuji gonɗi he dulaje tarirɗe hen. ɗum foof no wawi sabab o nyawu he sukaɓe he. ɓe jogui ɓe damugal cellal ngal noon woni Ministry of Health. ɓe mbaajo noon jinnaɓe ɓe woni yummiɓe ɓe ha heɓe toppittoɓe sukaɓe ɓe ɓe cellani ɓe naɓa ɓe damugal cellal ɓurgal ɓaɗade ɓe. ɓe ndentone nyawnande hoore mumen ha fa kala ɗo jomum woni ne wonda e laaɓal. jinnaɓe ɓe noon e ɓe toppitoɓe sukaɓe ha joni ɓe mbaajo wata ɓe mbiyat sukaɓe mumen ɗe lekkele ndiyam ɓe ɓuri ɗum andirde he baby syrups ɗe ganduɗa ko Maiden Pharmaceuticals Limited fewni ɗum woni promethazine oral suspension BP, Cofex Malin baby cough syrup, Macof baby cough syrup e Magrip and cold syrups. kala jiɗɗo heɓ ko laaɓi he kulle o nyawu wat feere nodda he 1025. o kabaru noon ko ɓe jogiiɓe damugal cellal ngal woni Ministry of Health Medicine Control Agency nangirani ɓe woni World Health Organization WHO ko kamɓe gaddani on o kabaru.
Under the auspices of the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, the Muslim World League, in collaboration with the Gambia government, will host the Conference of African Religious Ministers and Ulamas on the 6th of December 2022. The International Islamic Conference will bring together ministers of religious affairs, leading Islamic scholars, policymakers, youths, community leaders across Africa to discuss and advance Islamic values that promote peace and tolerance. Let's come together and welcome our brothers and sisters in keeping with our trademark hospitality as the smiling coast of Africa. This message is brought to you by the ministry responsible for religious affairs in collaboration with the Gambia OIC Secretariat.
Welcome back from that break. This is the World Today newscast, and now to more stories. The Gambia is still one of the countries with the lowest number of vaccinated people against the overall population. At the height of the COVID-19 vaccine campaign in the Gambia, many Gambians were reluctant to get their jabs due to different theories about the effectiveness and the consequences of the vaccines being peddled around. Now, notwithstanding, many have gone on to take the jabs, especially frontline workers like health workers, government officials, members of the security services, and frequent travelers. Now, so far, about 22% of the Gambia population has taken their first dose, while 18% are said to be fully vaccinated. Now, 3 vaccines were available in the Gambia and in the name of Johnson & Johnson, Oxford AstraZeneca, and also Sinopharm. Now, there have been 12,009 infectious and 365 coronavirus-related deaths reported in the country since the pandemic began. Now, this excerpt sets out some of the requirements by the Health Ministry during those trying times in the Gambia. Let's hear more of that.
Initially, when we started, our intention was to target health workers first. Until we finish with them, then we fall back to the rest of the population. But it was realized that we have far more than the public health, those working in the health sector. So, and then it will be better for us to also incorporate those with comorbidity. That is for hypertension, those with hypertension, those with diabetes, those with other chronic respiratory conditions, and so on. So that's what we have now adopted. Health workers will be vaccinated. If you have comorbidity, you can prove it that you have comorbidity. When you go to the vaccination centers, they will vaccinate you. If you are 65 and above, it's also a target for vaccination. So these are the people we want to vaccinate so far. But then the rest of the population, during the subsequent phases of the vaccination, they will be covered. The only people that would be covered are those from 18 years and above.
Mass measles vaccination campaign in Somalia targeting millions of children is underway in a bid to stem the current outbreak of the potentially deadly disease. Now, UNICEF and partners are aiming to vaccinate 54,000 children under 10 in Kismayo, southern Somalia, following a serious outbreak of the disease. Now, there have been over 704 cases of fever and rashes in Kismayo. The majority of them are children. Now, many of these children suspected to be suffering from measles are going through rough times. Let's hear details of that in this report.
This is the first vaccination dose for Amir Mohammed's 4 children in Somali capital Mogadishu. The jabs will protect them from killer diseases such as measles and polio, which are very common in the country due to low vaccination.
All my 4 children received the vaccination doses. I'm doing this as a prevention measure following reports of measles cases. That is why I brought them here to this clinic.
With the help from World Health Organization and UN Children Agency UNICEF, more than 3 million Somali children are expected to receive the life-saving vaccines in the coming weeks. However, that needs an awareness campaign from the Somali health officials.
We are calling upon parents to vaccinate their children and make sure those under the age of 5 years are fully vaccinated to save their lives by reducing risks and protecting them from diseases such as polio.
Thousands of vaccinators will go house to house to ensure routine immunization of children. UNICEF says more than 15,000 cases of measles was detected in Somalia this year alone. That is why regular campaigns like this one is very important to prevent more cases among the children.
So far, we have vaccinated 1.3 million children, and now this campaign is going to target all the children under 5, around 2.8 million children. And in terms of the role of UNICEF, UNICEF worked very closely with the government at both federal and the states level, and so far UNICEF has provided more than 5 million measles and polio doses of vaccine, and also UNICEF provided more than 3 million doses of vitamin A and deworming tablets.
Stakeholders believe recurrent conditions such as drought and looming famine, which result in displacement, are partially contributing to low vaccination rate.
Now, Somalia, they are embarking on massive measles vaccination against children. Brings us to the end of this edition of the World Today newscast. For more news, visit our website on www.eyeafrica.tv. I am your presenter, Yahya Jammeh. Thanks for watching and do have a good night.